What is going on, everybody? It's Alex coming back here with another video, and today we have God's blessing in being able to interview Houston Texans President Jamey Rootes. Jamey, welcome to the channel. I'm going to let you actually introduce yourself. I was going to give you a quick little intro, but you've been a really nice guy. You've been talking to me for a little bit. I'm going to let you have the honor of being able to introduce yourself. Welcome to the channel.
Oh, Alex, it's great to be with you. I just really have tremendous admiration for what you've done in building this base of people that are interested in sports, and to do it so early in your career. So it's, if you don't mind, I'll just begin at the beginning. So really things started to gel for me career-wise when I was at Clemson University. So I wanted to go to Georgia, but Georgia didn't have a soccer program. And so Clemson was as close to Georgia as I could get and still be able to play top level soccer. I'd always been the best player on my team growing up. And then when I went to Clemson, it was kind of a rude awakening. I mean, it was an incredible base of talent, some really great players, and a team that was consistently among the best in the country. My freshman year, we won a national championship. My senior year, we won a national championship. And I started to get into academics for the first time. In fact, I remember it was at the end of my first semester, I went to the mailbox and pulled out this letter and read it. And I called my mom. I said, "Mom, you're not going to believe this. The guy here is the dean, and he's got his eye on me. He's got a list, and he's keeping track of me."
Okay.
She said, "You idiot. It's called the dean's list. Every school's got that. You must have gotten a 3.5 or above." And I did. And so anyway, after we won a championship my fourth year, we had been given another year by our coach, and I only needed about 14 hours to graduate.
Okay.
So I was like, what am I going to do with my time? So I was down at the Citrus Bowl, and the president of the student body was there, and it was about midnight. And he said, "You should run for student body president." And I was like, that is a great idea. So I did. It was a great leadership opportunity, something that really started to propel me forward. When I left Clemson, I didn't know I had to go get a job. I thought this was going to go on forever.
Yeah.
And I'd never really thought about what I wanted to do for a living beyond playing soccer.
Okay.
So I took a job at IBM, and I was in sales. I kind of thought at the time, this was like 1989, that these computer things, that they were going to kind of take off. And I would need to know about that. I didn't know that it was going to transform every piece of life on the planet. But that was good. The sales experience, the people that I got to know, but I really wasn't fulfilled. I came to the conclusion that I either wanted to work in a sports business or I wanted to be a coach, because I'd always coached. I was still in high school, and I was running soccer academies, right? So I loved coaching. So I went to Indiana, and it gave me that opportunity to coach, to get an MBA, and to work in the athletic department. At the end of those 2 years, I was really clear. I want to work in a sports business, but I didn't have a job. And so the spring of my second year, I took what was the marquee job out of Indiana to be a brand manager at Procter & Gamble.
Okay. Never
thinking I would ever go there, right? I was going to the World Cup in Chicago to work. And of course, someone's going to hire me. And they're going to give me my entree into sports, but it didn't happen. So I went to Procter & Gamble and continued all the relationships in the sports industry. And about 9 months in, two things happened simultaneously. A guy by the name of Don Rawson. Don was an assistant coach at Indiana, and he was my boss in Chicago for the World Cup. He was one of the top venue guys.
Okay.
Well, Don called me. He said, "I got a job with Reebok. I got something for you. I need a global category manager for soccer." I was like, "Awesome. That's great. Give me a little time," because I had an interview with Lamar Hunt and Tim Connolly and Clark Hunt up in Columbus, Ohio, to talk about this new league called Major League Soccer. So I drove up there, and I spent the whole day with Lamar. We walked Ohio Stadium. We'll tarp these seats off. We'll get about 26,000, blah, blah, blah. Talked about religion, talked about family, talked about everything other than jobs.
Yeah.
And I'm driving home, and I'm thinking, you know what? I think I got the job, but I have no idea what job they were interviewing me for. So when I got back to Procter & Gamble, Tim Connolly, who worked for Lamar, he was the head of business operations for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Ooh.
He called me and he said, "Hey, the interview went great. We're not really sure what's going to happen with the league, but just sit tight. Hopefully at some point in time it opens up and we'd love to talk to you again."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, if you're not ready to offer me a job, I've got an offer to be the global category manager for Reebok,
Yeah.
for the sport of soccer. And
Mm.
I can't take it another minute here, Tim." And so he said, "Don't take that job. Go sit by your fax machine." So my fax machine starts humming, and I see the Kansas City Chiefs helmet.
Ooh.
His letterhead says, "We want to hire you as the general manager of a yet to be determined Major League Soccer franchise.
Okay.
It may be in Kansas City, it may be in Columbus. We don't really know." So I said yes, and took off. Actually, originally for Kansas City,
Mm.
was trying to, lead the startup of the two teams. Eventually, they hired a GM in Kansas City, so I went to Columbus
Okay.
and spent 5 years there. We built this first soccer-specific stadium in the United States, Crew Stadium. Now it's called Matt Free Stadium, I believe. And then I got a call from a headhunter. Would you? Her name is Buffy Philippel. She was the original executive placement person in the sports industry.
Oh.
And so Buffy said, "Hey, would you like to work in the NFL?" I said, "Sure, love to work in the NFL." Where? Houston. I said, "That's great, Buffy, but they don't have it. They don't have an NFL team."
Mm.
She said, "They're going to." This guy, Bob McNair, has just spent $750 million to get the club. And not many people in the world have startup sports experience other than you. And that was it.
Wow. Wow. That is surprising. I didn't realize, I forgot how new the Houston Texans organization was. So, wow, that took me back that I didn't even get to, yeah, represent. Totally forgot about, I didn't get to even see the fact that you were a GM in the MLS. And
Yeah, I was president and general manager of the Columbus Crew. Then I led the building of the stadium. So I was president of the stadium company. And then coming to Houston, being the senior vice president of sales and marketing was actually a dramatic reduction in my responsibilities,
Really?
but it was in a much bigger pool, right? I mean, it doesn't get any bigger than the National Football League.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously you gave a big background on everything that you've done. So obviously my fans know you because I've definitely talked about you plenty of times on Twitter and on my channel, as the president of the Houston Texans. Can you give a little bit of light to what you do as the president of the Houston Texans for them?
Yeah, that's a good question. Um, Fortunately for me, they made it easy.
Mm.
They draw lines around the field,
Yeah.
the gridiron.
Mm.
So if it happens on there, I don't do it. If it doesn't happen on there, I pretty much do it, right? So really, I lead the business operations of the team. It's not the coach, it's not the general manager. They both report to the owner.
Mm.
I do all of the administrative functions, all the sales and marketing and legal and human resources, IT. We actually have a whole broadcasting company.
Mm.
We have another events company called Lone Star Sports and Entertainment
Yeah.
that I oversee as well. So those are the things that I'm involved with, and it's really an interesting role. I mean, it's just I'm somewhat ADD. I'm non-diagnosed,
Yeah.
and so this job really fits well for me because I'm moving from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next all day long. I mean, stay super busy, trying to solve problems. Working with people to take advantage of opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just really exciting. There's always something new that we can be doing. It's all just a matter of what capacity do we have, and when things slow down, I'm just notorious for filling that gap with something new, like during COVID, right? So COVID happens, and what do? I go out and start a fitness brand, Texans Fit.
Okay.
And we now have 6 facilities across the city that are trained like the pros is the platform. So we had a little bit of time. We created a completely new business.
Wow. Hey, that's adjusting pretty damn well. Because I was actually
I wrote a book.
Well, I guess obviously I could probably put down your books in the description as well for people to go and check them out as well. Because I know that you're also an author, which we'll talk a little bit more about that as time goes on. But switching to, I mean, obviously going off the idea of like pivoting and kind of like taking what you can get, you guys have been pretty in the news for the past year and a half, 2 years. So if you could give me a little bit of light as to the DeAndre Hopkins trade, this Deshaun Watson rumors, how has that affected the business side of football rather than just the roster side of football?
Yeah. So when you think about the book, The Winning Game Plan,
Mhm.
that's what it's all about. It's not about, the book is not about winning on the field. It's about how do you create a business that can withstand the ups and downs that naturally happen in the National Football League.
Mm.
You know, if you took every team who's ever played in professional sports all time, put it into a computer, you would find out that everybody goes 500
Yeah.
over time.
Yeah.
And especially in the NFL, because the rules are designed to pull teams down and to lift teams up.
Yeah.
When you think about draft position, the strength of schedule, there's all kinds of things that bring everybody together. And when you add to it that we all have the same resources for players,
Mhm.
everybody ought to go 8-8. And so there's got to be something more to what you're providing. And that's what we focus on. We focus on the experience that people have when they come to our games. Houston's the most diverse city in America.
Mm.
We live our lives Monday to Saturday as individuals.
Okay.
But on Sunday, we come together. We are one. We are Texans.
Yeah.
The service level that they're provided, the value proposition, the involvement that we have in the community. All of these things are designed to insulate you from the on-field perception, good or bad, you know, because it's been good. I mean, I think we won 4 of the last 6 AFC South championships. That's not bad, right? Little challenge right now, you know, a little stumbly, but we'll get it back. You know, every team in the league, all 32 begin the season with one goal.
Okay.
To win a championship.
Yeah.
And you know how many teams go home disappointed? 31. 31 out of 32 go home disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? That's what we signed up for. You know, if you got to put your big boy pants on if you're going to be in the National Football League.
That's 100% true. Yeah. Okay. So going off that, because obviously I know that you're working your best to try to promote a good brand image and then be able to keep customer loyalty, this stuff like that, right? So with the idea of Andre Johnson putting out tweets saying that your organization ruins players, get Deshaun Watson out of there, the whole entire Bill O'Brien incident, how are you able to continue pushing through that? And does that actually really have an impact on the business side? Because we see it always in the news and it's their job to blow stuff up out of nowhere. But how about like the actual numbers? Does that actually like make a difference inside the organization?
So again, the book that I wrote, The Winning Game Plan, is a great example of how you react to situations like that.
Mm-hmm.
You can't control it. You can't control it. And so there's a chapter on handling adversity and handling success.
Yeah.
And for 20 years, I've found the 4 plays that I laid out in terms of handling adversity overcomes all adversity.
Okay.
Your mind has to be right. You got to stay focused. You got to work hard.
Yeah.
But every team has a level of adversity. It just happens in the NFL.
Of course.
And it happens in business, but not to the extent that it happens in sports. I mean, you're either way up here or you're way down here. There's no, you know, level. But what you have to do as a leader is get everybody to level, to embrace that this is what's happened to us. This is what we're going to do about it.
Yeah.
The media is loving us. We're not nearly as good as what they're saying. We got to work harder. We got to stretch further. We got to go harder, you know? So, so those are those are the things that I think about, not what's happening, but how do we respond to it?
Okay. So obviously something that might need to be responded to in the coming weeks/months, especially with big quarterback trades going on, is of course the biggest man in the room, Deshaun Watson. So obviously you're a Clemson guy. I know that you and I have talked about this in the prior to the actual filming of this video. Obviously you guys want to keep him there because, I mean, duh, you don't let Michael Jordan go. But of course, you're talking about adapting to things that are out of your control. And under the situation that Deshaun Watson does end up leaving, how do you think that can affect your business? And I'm going to back it up with another question right now. If you are in the situation right now with all these unknowns, what is the most critical thing to do to basically be able to improve the Texans' visibility to the people as well as to the media? What's the biggest step?
Well, the key, as it relates to Deshaun, we've just had a change in the leadership of
Mhm.
our football team. We have a new GM, we have a new head coach. Communication is the key.
Mhm.
We can all get back on the same page.
Yeah.
There's a lot of time till we play football again.
Mhm.
So there needs to be some connection, some reconciliation, and just move forward. I know for sure our front office staff has no desire for Deshaun to go anywhere.
Mm.
I know that I don't want Deshaun to go anywhere. And I know our fans don't want Deshaun to go anywhere. But it's a great story, right?
Mhm.
It's a great story.
Yeah.
Those guys have to fill 24 hours a day. And so if they can get something meaty like this to talk about that
Mhm.
creates interest and buzz, that's their job. But all we need to do is communicate with clarity, be honest and open, and create a structure that allows Deshaun to be the very best quarterback that he can be.
Okay, so I don't know if you can answer this personally, but I don't think Deshaun Watson's ever going to watch this or anybody of that importance. However, um, do you think that Deshaun's reaction to not being in the GM hiring process is valid? Because personally, I don't know if a quarterback, albeit nicknamed Michael Jordan, really should have the impact of being able to choose a GM. I know Brett Favre said, like, I sure as hell did not be able to select the GM for the Packers. So I'm just curious to what your thoughts are on that, if you're able to share them.
So I just don't think anybody knows right now exactly where Deshaun's head is, what he wanted, what he didn't want.
Yeah.
I mean, all we see is, a couple of tweets and then
Yeah.
media members starting to suggest that maybe this and that, and this is what's behind it.
Yeah.
We don't know. What needs to happen is to be behind closed doors, to talk as men and lay out what it is that's important to you,
Mhm.
and try to get on the same page. And
Okay.
it can happen. It absolutely can happen. And
Okay.
I hope it happens.
Yeah. So I know you were talking about communication is key, which is probably the golden rule of every single relationship, business or personal, in the history of mankind. How do you feel like that's going, given the fact that Deshaun is not really cooperating in the communication currently?
Well, I mean, it's been what, like 100 hours since David Culley was hired, right? So we got to give a little, we just have to give it a little bit of time.
Okay.
Let's let it settle down and we'll work through it. So has it been the greatest patch in Houston Texans history? No, but you can quickly recover from that.
Okay. So speaking of quickly recovering, there are rumors. I know that obviously you guys want to keep Deshaun Watson, but there is the phrase that every single person has a price, correct? Like, I'm pretty sure if a team offers every single first round pick for the future of their franchise, it might be worth Michael Jordan, right? So, under that assumption, and of course, you guys are not going to be trading Deshaun Watson from what you say. There are two teams that are really in the buzz right now, the Dolphins and the Jets, which I hope that he doesn't go to the Jets. I'm not a fan of the Jets. I love Joe Douglas, but and Robert Saleh, just not a fan of those damn green uniforms. I'm gonna be honest. But
You've got your priorities.
yes, I do. I do. But under the condition that you guys are offered a potential future, like, I mean, Tua Tagovailoa was literally the number 5 pick last year. And, you guys have invested a lot in your offensive line and all this. What do you think is the price tag? Because I've heard 4 first rounders. It might have been by Nick Caserio. He might have mentioned the number 4 first. Probably not. I'm not sure. I just heard that number buzzing around. What do you think would be a valid type of trade offer? Obviously, doesn't need to get specific, but
Yeah, I'm way out over my skis here. So this
okay.
is that's what Nick specializes in. And
Okay.
so Nick doesn't tell me what to price our tickets, and I don't tell him who to trade what for. So
That's right.
they know what they're doing. Very sophisticated front office staff, and
Mhm.
if there is a great deal to be had, I'm sure they'll listen to it. But absent something Herschel Walker-esque.
Mhm.
You know, you're probably watching number 4 in deep steel blue on Sunday.
I hope so. But okay, coming from you as a Clemson guy, if he weren't on the Texans, I'm not saying where would you want him to be traded. Where would you think he would have the most success from the buzzed trade partners? That's like New England, pretty much the entire NFC East at this point, besides the Bills, that type of
Yeah,
stuff.
I think he has his greatest opportunity for success in 77005 in
Okay.
Houston, Texas.
Yeah.
I do believe that he is the quarterback that can lead this team to a championship.
Mm-hmm.
And I expect that he's going to have an open mind. He's going to have a good conversation with Coach Culley and with Nick and talk about the things that it takes for him to be successful. And you know, he's had a great run here. The fans love him. He loves the fans. He loves this city. And so we're focused on making that happen.
Obviously, he's a great guy.